Forget lines on a map. What's the opposite of using force and occupying territory? Making the people be the most important thing. And a human-centered approach is going to put Russia at a disadvantage, meaning it's going to lose its ability to dictate terms and even cement in its territorial gains. And that's really flipping the script. I'm Dr. K. I'm a political scientist, and I look at how information is shared. The U.S.-Ukraine negotiations that happened in Riyadh on March 11th could really force more out of Russia's president than you might think. First, let's do a quick recap. In the early morning hours before the negotiations started, Kyiv attacked the Moscow capital region with hundreds of drones, a move that could have been tone-setting for what Ukraine was capable of, even without U.S. intelligence, which had been cut off in a row of things that had been stripped away from Kyiv following the heated meeting in the Oval Office between Zelensky and Trump's team. But on March 11th, the key points of the negotiation between the U.S. and Ukraine had nothing to do with classic military power, territorial lines, or even the security guarantees that they wanted. Ukraine agreed to a 30-day ceasefire focusing on its people. And, well, what happens behind closed doors is really difficult to know. The U.S. has been using Steve Witkoff for negotiations in Israel, and he was recently in Moscow. And he's focused on bringing people home. Whether Ukraine understood this beforehand or it was Witkoff's influence in the negotiation, I don't know. But not only are Ukraine's prisoners of war part of the agreement, but also hundreds of thousands of children kidnapped from Ukraine and taken to Russia, a situation that Moscow has consistently denied. But now this issue is in the spotlight again. And remember, the International Criminal Court issued a warrant for Putin's arrest over this. Land-based talks allow Russia to use the might makes right argument. People-based talks will show Russia's war crimes, remove its bargaining chips, and Ukraine gets back the moral high ground, countering the framing that recently took place that Ukrainians want to keep the war going at all costs. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is going to take the proposal in Moscow, and he said the ball's in Russia's court, and that if the Kremlin doesn't agree to the deal, it's going to be clear who really doesn't want peace. That's why a humanitarian ceasefire or prisoner exchange and people exchange is a strategic disadvantage for Russia. It forces them into a weaker negotiating position without even securing territorial control. Like Rubio says, how Moscow reacts is going to tell us a lot about who wants this war. I'm Dr. K.